Heavy Rain, what's up? It's the Culture Detective here investigating your favorite albums, and today I cut my hand. Not this one. This one. And the reason being is the most ridiculous reason ever. I was basically like shaking off my hand, and my the tip of my nail of my pinky finger basically collided with my fourth finger, and that's the story. And today I'm going to be doing my last LCD Soundsystem full-length album review, unless they decided to put out another studio album, of course, and it would be their comeback album, American Dream. Yes. So, LCD Soundsystem, New York-based dance, punk, electropop supergroup. Yeah, fronted by the one and only producer, James Murphy. And for their first 3 records, I am really, really impressed. The self-titled, although it's not like legendary or anything, it's pretty fun, pretty smart, with a lot of groovy tracks. And for albums like Sound of Silver and This Is Happening, both of these albums are great. They're great. Both of them are just 9 tracks long, but they feature some of the most thrilling, fun, exciting, quirky, and smart and witty songs that I've heard. And it also has some of the more warmer and more pleasant cuts as well. And both Sound of Silver and This Is Happening are equally as colorful, vibrant, and very energetic indeed. And then after This Is Happening, they announced that their band is breaking up, and it's gonna be a farewell for LCD Soundsystem. They're breaking up, yes. And in fact, they put out this huge tour, The Long Goodbye, and they even made like a movie about their breakup or something, and it was a huge deal, and everybody was kind of sad that they broke up. And then all of a sudden, 5 years later, just 5, they have decided to return, because apparently I think David Bowie convinced James Murphy to reassemble the band. And of course, even if I'm James Murphy, I would probably do so, because David Bowie just told me to reassemble the band. But turns out they have kind of lost it. They have kind of lost their touch. At least for me, it sounds like they have lost their magic that they used to have in their 3 previous albums. And even though on this album we still get the very usual fun, punchy, exciting instrumentals, but for some reason it doesn't feel as dynamic and as diverse and versatile as all their previous efforts, and the lyrics here feel even weaker for some reason. And I also wanted to say that this album sounds incredibly safe. It doesn't take risks, it doesn't challenge, and not in a way where it retains its quality from This Is Happening or Sound of Silver, in a way where it's almost dumbed down a little bit. And there are also a handful of tracks on this album where it feels a little bit too long and a little bit too drab or airy or spacey. And even though I love a few tracks, and I do kinda enjoy a majority of the tracks here, I think LCD Soundsystem had lost their touch. The album starts off with Oh Baby, and at first it sounds pretty interesting, to be honest. We get these metallic sounding tick-tocking piano keys, tick-tock like clocks tick-tock, not the app. And we also get some really nice, comfortable synths, and they're really lighthearted, really fluffy, and really warm. It's like a really nice, warm, welcoming return from one of the best bands from New York. And then, the song kind of progresses really, really slowly, and then James Murphy hops in and sings. And the lyrics here, oh baby, oh sugar, it's some of the weakest and most vapid LCD Soundsystem lyrics I've ever heard, and it's kind of disappointing actually. And the rest of the track doesn't change all that much. We still get these very airy and spacey synths, and the whole track feels kind of hollow, kind of weak. And I'm feeling a 7 out of 10 for the track. It just gets stale a little bit. And then we have Other Voices, which has some pretty interesting sounding, punchy, drip-droppy drum beats in the beginning. And the intro is pretty entertaining and entrancing with these screeching synths. They actually sound really nice. And, but yeah, after the intro, everything else about the track is just alright, at most. And, it's another stale, half spoken word, half singing, like barely half singing track. And again, nothing all that colorful, nothing all that fun, and neither is it all that meaningful or heartwarming or anything. It just doesn't feel like anything. It's a 6 out of 10 for me for Other Voices. The chorus is really weak as well, and the vocals, they aren't all that special as well. And then we move on to the third track, I Used To, which is one of the rarer moments on the album, a highlight for sure, and it's actually, I guess, one of the darkest tracks on the album, and also one of the more solid, cohesive, compelling, and refreshing. Yes, it's easily the most, not really the most. I mean, we still have Black Screen. But yeah, a rather more somber, moody, murky song from LCD Soundsystem. I really like the stuttery rhythm guitars, the eerie, spacey synths that are actually really, really moody and tasteful, the echoey bleeps and bloops, and the simple, shuffly beat that backs it up, and it just sets this very solid and cohesive tone for the track. And the vocal performances by James Murphy is easily one of the wearier performances, and the lyrics, they are actually not as bland as the lyrics on the 2 previous tracks. And I remember one line in specific for some reason. I see the hands in weird positions, and we have some pretty abstract and weird lyrics dropped here and there on the track, and they're pretty interesting, not gonna lie. And I'm feeling a 9 out of 10 for the track, maybe a 10, probably a 9. They could have pushed it a little further, by, I guess, dropping some interesting beat switches, sound effects, and a climax or 2, but yeah, a 9. Then we have the track Change Your Mind, where the album slows down a little bit again. Again, in the very beginning, the track sounds pretty interesting. We get this, slow, shuffly beat, and this very raw, rough, deranged guitars, and some bittersweet a cappella vocals from none other than James Murphy. And yeah, it sounds pretty intriguing at first. And then as time goes by, nothing had really changed. The lyrics are just so-so. It gets stale. And again, it's not as colorful or as vibrant as any tracks from LCD Soundsystem's previous records. And I have to give it a 7 to a 6. 6 out of 10. 6. This is a 6, right? For the 5th track, we have the 9-minute long How Do You Sleep? And it is one of the more experimental tracks off of this album, and it sounds incredibly interesting, not gonna lie. At first, we get these very weird, springy, punchy percussions. It almost sounds like a really interesting intro to a weird Joy Division song. And then, as it progresses, it starts to have these very tense strings in the back. And then James Murphy hops in, screaming and moaning, and his performance actually kind of reminds me of Bono of U2 for some reason. But yeah, still, sounds pretty interesting. If there's one gripe with the track, it would be the lyrics. James Murphy kind of rants about, his friendship with someone else deteriorating, and it's not really that interesting or epic of a topic. But yeah, the track itself sounds incredibly interesting, refreshing, and fun. And then it builds up more and more and more and more until we get these hard-hitting synths that's just really, really harsh and solid, like solid notes. And then after a while, the beat is introduced and it becomes a very danceable, fun banger of a track, I guess. And yeah, I like it, even though the lyrics are still kind of so-so. And I think it's, it tests your patience. It's sort of a long wait until the climax of the thing. So, yeah, I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. I think it's pretty good. And then after that, we have Tonite, which is also one of the singles leading up to the album. And it's this more stripped back, light-hearted, straightforward synth pop track. Yeah, I really like the rhythm guitars, the scratchy bass, the Tox box vocals in the beginning, as well as the very punchy and fun drum beats. And overall, it feels like a catchy, fun, lighthearted track that's refreshing. And yeah, that's pretty much it, I guess. Similar to tracks like Oh Baby, Other Voices, and Change Your Mind, it gets stale over time because it isn't a very melodic track. The entire track is supported by James Murphy's vocals alone, almost entirely. The lyrics are just okay. I do enjoy a couple of lines here and there, though, like one of the lines where James Murphy said, a lot of artists nowadays think about dying. And yeah, I guess that's kind of normal because, a lot of people think about dying. A lot of people around me think about dying. That's pretty normal, I guess. Yeah, I'm giving it an 8 to a 7 out of 10. Or maybe an 8. You know what? I guess I'm gonna be generous and I'm gonna just give it an 8, even though it's kind of bland. Or maybe a 7. Yeah, you know what? I'm just gonna reside at a 7 out of 10. And then we have Call the Police, which is released as a teaser single for the album. It's basically this very runny, watery, alt-rock guitar jam with some really fun, guitar lines, guitar licks, except they're not really that fun. It tries to be fun. It tries to be, fun, the catchy kind of fun, but it just ends up kind of redundant and repetitive, and it just sounds like a pretty generic New Order song, to be honest. And the lyrics aren't really that good as well. In fact, it's really weak. It sounds like James Murphy is trying to say something socio-political, but, in a very vague way, and in a way where he's trying to, be a little relatable, or maybe a little dumbed down, maybe. Or maybe in a way where it's a little smart and witty, but it's really not all of the three things. It's just pretty weak lyrics. And overall, the track just, becomes stale, becomes blunt. There's nothing sharp or vibrant that carries the song along. Nothing all that compelling about the track. It's just alright at most, and I'm feeling a 6 out of 10 for the track. And then we hit the title track, which is paired with Call the Police as the 2 teaser singles for the album. And although I wasn't a huge fan of it at first, it grew on me a lot, and it's now my favorite track off of this album. And this track, I guess, also deserves a spot in my top 50 songs of 2017. Oh yeah, by the way, during summer, the coming summer, of course, I'm gonna be dropping my my 2016 list week, basically talking about my best worst days, my favorite movies, least favorite movies, favorite albums, or worst albums, favorite songs, least favorite songs, yeah, TV shows, TV episodes. I'm not gonna talk about memes though, because I don't know that many 2016 memes, but yeah. And then after that, I would also take some of my time out to do a redux of 2017 list week. But I'm only gonna do 3 videos: favorite songs, favorite albums, and favorite movies. And I can assure you that American Dream will probably end up. I can assure you probably. This track will probably end up in my top 50 songs of 2017 list, a redux. The track is a pretty powerful and stargazing ballad. I really like the buzzing keys, the weepy, elongated synths, and the reverby vocals here are actually pretty tasteful. And the vocals are easily the most wild on the entire album. And the lyrics, they kind of deal with a revolution, except it never happened, it never came true, and the person who wanted to start the revolution became such a loser, and it hits really hard, to be honest. And the track overall just feels very revolutionary, very compelling, and hard-hitting, and emotional as well. And I'm honestly feeling a 9 to a 10 out of 10. Yes. Yeah, what comes next after the title track, it's such a huge letdown, and it pales so much in comparison. It's Emotional Haircut, and it's this incredibly drab and forgettable minimal cut of a track. Spoken word, I guess, half spoken word, half singing. We get this very flat bass line, some really faint and minimalistic drums, and these very airy vocals. It's not melodic, nor is it all that punchy or witty or interesting. It's just this very plain and mundane track, and I guess this might actually be my least favorite LCD Soundsystem track ever. It's just so bland and mundane. And then to end off, we have Black Screen. Even though it's not really that exciting of an ending either, whatever, but still, it's a 12-minute long, sad, claustrophobic monster of a closer. It's a tribute to David Bowie. It talks about the friendship between James Murphy and David Bowie and all his regrets. Knowing him more, I guess. And I actually kind of like how stagnant and static and the synths are. They are sort of pulsating. Usually when, the instrumentals are pretty stagnant, I will not like it, but on this track, it fits perfectly well with the context and with the lyrics of the track, and it just creates this somber and moody atmosphere, and I love it. And it kind of reminds me of a phone line. When you make a phone call and then it ends, but you're still listening, and it just keeps beeping, like bam, 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 kinda. And that's what the synths remind me of on this track. And they're pretty slow, they're pretty moody, they're pretty nice. And I also really like how the track ends off, where it has these sad piano passages. yeah, even though it's still not that exciting of a track, and they could have cut it short a little bit, I guess from 12 minutes to maybe 9 or 8, but I guess James Murphy just had a lot to say. And I don't blame him, not at all. David Bowie's passing is one of the saddest musician passings I've witnessed in my lifetime, I guess. And yeah, overall, I think the album is just alright, just barely decent. I think LCD Soundsystem had lost their touch, had lost their magic. The tracks here are not as vibrant or as fun as they are used to be. But still, we, get all sorts of weird, interesting, intriguing instrumentals here and there sometimes. And I guess that's the only thing that's saving the album. The production is pretty nice too. I have to say that. The production is pretty nice. It's quality production, in fact. But yeah, the lyrics, they're pretty weak, pretty frail, and the overall flow of the album is just bland. Sorta. My favorite track here is the title track, and my least favorite is Emotional Haircut. I'm giving LCD Soundsystem's American Dream a 6 out of 10. Or maybe I'm gonna push it to a 7. Yeah, never mind, a 6. A strong 6. A really, really strong 6 out of 10. Yeah. So, have you listened to the LCD Soundsystem album, American Dream, from 1 to 10? How much did you rate it? Like if you like it, hate if you hate it, and subscribe if you want more. And thanks for watching. It's just my opinion. Don't get triggered.